So according to LitHub, these are the 139 best book covers of 2023, and they asked 46 designers to pick their favourites, and then they tallied them. And as much as I would love to believe that I don't judge books by their covers, that's not the truth, Ellen. That's not how it goes. So I do judge books by their covers, and I know that you do too. And if you say that you don't, then not only do you judge books by their covers, but you're also a liar. I actually think that's worse. So anyways, all this to say, I thought we could go through the 139 best book covers of 2023 and think about them. Let's just look at some pretty things, okay? That's the plan. Okay, so starting with this one, I've actually seen this in shops a bunch of times and I wholeheartedly agree with this observation. This is The Nursery and it looks like a tit. Well, it is a tit, but I think it's so genius. And the reason this is genius is because the further away you are from this, the more it looks like a boob, and then as you get closer, it seems more blurry. It's like this weird optical illusion. But the title is The Nursery. This obviously has something to do with childbirth and motherhood. You know, the words "a novel look like breast milk." And I think this is really, really smart. This is such a clever, you know, provocative book cover, which immediately caught my attention in the bookstore. So I think that's super, super smart. We then have this one. This is The Employees. This is a water cooler with kind of like ink coming out of it. It's giving that one Billie Eilish music video, you know, where it's like pouring from her eyes. Again, I think this is genius. The adult, and she's kind of crying paint tears. I really like this. The colors are gorgeous and the blue contrasts really nicely. I think that also this is the adult experience because this is how I feel 95% of the time, maybe 96, maybe 97, 99 last year. The sun walks down. One thing about me, I'm a sucker for a gradient. I love a gradient. What can I say? I went to Art Basel in Miami and I was walking around quite drunk, not gonna lie. We basically, so I went with a friend who is a member of this bank and the bank was sponsoring Art Basel, which is basically this big art convention. And so because he was a member of the bank, he got access and got us access to this bar, free bar at the art convention, which I think is a fantastic idea because I think it would probably be like a Bell diagram of like not drunk enough to buy art, drunk enough to buy art, and then like too drunk to buy art. And I was definitely here at too drunk to buy art, but also too poor to buy the art because the art there was so crazy expensive. There was this one like black canvas with a date written on it and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I actually think that would look really cool in my apartment. So I asked, oh, how much is that? $565,000. I nearly had a seizure. I nearly had a heart attack like right there and then. I thought, that's absurd. I've got no idea how much art kind of is worth though. Art really is like a blind spot in my cultural knowledge, so maybe it is worth that amount, and do you know what, good for whoever's selling that. But I did not buy any art. I actually bought like a postcard in the gift shop which was $3. So, but I was blathered. Anyway, all this to say, we would like go to the free bar and then go and look at art for like 15 minutes and then go back to the free bar and have another load of drinks and snacks and then go back and look at art, and that was like the perfect day. But my friend noticed that the one thing I'm always drawn to is like a gradient. Whenever I saw like a piece of art that was a gradient, I would just go and stare at it. And so anyway, that's what this book cover made me think of. The sun walks down. This, on the other hand, I guess we kind of have a bit of a gradient on the twisty lines, but The Sorrow of Others is much more kind of like minimal, blank, with kind of that pop of colour. I do really love the symmetry of this, I have to say. Another book by Olga Run, this is the second of her books, so obviously she has a great team behind her. I actually love this one even more. This is my work, and I guess the child is what she's considering to be her work, so maybe it is about the kind of the work of having a child, because often, you know, it's very sexist, where traditionally people will say like, oh, the man goes out and works while the mother stays at home. And it's like, she's working, she's putting in a shift with raising the child. So maybe it's that kind of thing. I think that the simple font works quite well with the very elaborate and embellished cover. Wish I knew more about fonts. I'm not very good at fonts, but I would like to know more about fonts. So anyways, the next one is called Couplets, and I Love this book. This was one of my top books of the year. I love the way that the two words kind of bleed into one another as couplets do, through just that letter P, in the same way that it's just one word that rhymes between couplets that links them. Here they just have two letters that kind of link to one another. I think it's really smart the way this is kind of like a mirror image, because that's really how the book reads. I think this is wonderful. Tomb Sweeping. This has a name. I'm gonna remember it. It means like House of Wonders. Oh, the word is Wunderkammer. So it basically means like, it's a German word meaning House of Wonders, and it's basically where you have a design like this where there's like lots of different components all going on. It's like the thing is divided up. And I think it's a really interesting design choice. I love how vibrant this is. I think this is enough to make me read the book, honestly. And you can feature so many different bits of iconography from the novel too in a style like this. So I really, really like this. Thin Skin. Jen Chaplin, this is an essay collection. I think this is just magical. It really looks like, I have this core memory of going to, what was it called? There was this zoo, Longleat Zoo. And you would like drive and you could go through this outdoor safari kind of thing, and like monkeys would jump on your car. I remember them pulling the windscreen wiper off the front of my granddad's car and being like traumatized by that. I actually find monkeys very scary in general. Like, I know that in an evolutionary sense we are very linked to monkeys, but there's something about them that just gives me the creeps. Like, I think it's because when I was a child we went to Gibraltar, and the monkeys in Gibraltar are pure evil. Like, they will steal anything from you. You'll be holding your sunglasses and they will take them and run away with them. And like, what business does a monkey have with sunglasses? They don't, there's no reason for a monkey to have sunglasses. So anyways, I just remember being small and the monkeys being like the same size as me, and they would like jump on my grandmother's handbag, like jump on my parents. I'd be so scared. I was so frightened of those. And like, that's just something that, you know, when you learn something as a child, like that monkeys are scary, and then as an adult, like they still kind of give me the creeps a little bit. So anyways, how did I even get onto that? Oh yeah, at Longleat Zoo, you could like drive around and the monkeys would jump on your car, but also there was this thing that you could go and make like a sand sculpture. So there would be like all this different colored sand, and you would have a jar and you would like pour different colored sand into the jar, and it would basically make this. This video should just be called me going on tangents for 10 minutes straight. Big Swiss. This has great covers, both the British version and the US version. Both covers of this are consistently great. And you know what? It's because it's Faber. And Faber always have banging cover designs. Every single time, they never miss. I said it. Lucky Dogs, really like this because firstly, it feels like a bit of a violation. Like, it feels, you know, like the whole thing about upskirting that paparazzi are not allowed to do, and you can get fined if you take a picture up a woman's skirt. Like, this feels like that violation of privacy. Like, this is not an area that a camera should be in. But also the way that her hands are, you know, the position of those hands, it just feels like she's anxious, like she's nervous. And that's actually really palpable from this. I think it's really interesting how they've used this photo, also the way that it's mostly dark as well, that makes me feel a little stressed. So I think that's very evocative, and I'm really interested by that use of kind of like negative space all around her too. Cold Nights of Childhood. And then to me, this kind of feels like the steam coming off of that mug, which is then merging with her hair. I think the line art is such a beautiful way of illustrating this. And I'm always a fan of a translator's name being on the title. And this is a really fun way of bringing the translator's name in and making it part of the design. This kind of freaks me out a little bit. It's so like weirdly 3D. I kind of want to bite into it. Is that weird? And I feel like it would be soft. Kind of like Play-Doh, but I think it would taste really good. I really want to like sink my teeth into that. Anyway, that's Do You Remember Being Born? And also it's just repeated over and over and over in the background, so interesting. Subluna. Again, this weird 3D nose. I saw, there's these two guys I follow on TikTok. I want to say their names are Josh and Matt, and they like have absurd furniture in their house. Like, their whole house is just filled with this crazy furniture. Like, each individual piece is great, but together, it's like, it literally looks like a car boot sale, and I kind of love that vibe. And they have this nose on their wall that looks exactly like this, but they've painted it flesh colored, and it has lamps in each nostril. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's just bonkers, but I love it for them, you know? It's not how I would decorate my house, but I love so much that they love really unique items. And I gobble up every single video. Like, every time I've seen they've uploaded, I will watch the entire thing. They must be like the one TikToker whose videos I watch every single time without fail. And this reminds me of their nose lamp, and so I immediately love it. No idea what it has to do with the title Subluna, but love it. And the translator's name is on the cover, so that's a win. Time without keys. This... Oh, keys maybe as in like piano keys, because it's like music in the background. Oh, wow. Maybe he's smarter than he looks. Maybe. Big emphasis on maybe. I really like this cover because it really does look like parts of the pages have been torn away or scratched off. And yet it also follows a rough kind of pattern of leaves, which again, super cool. This I've seen in the bookshop a lot of times and always admired it. This is In Search of Warren Harding, and the guy's brain is kind of cut off and you can see a shovel and some dirt. I really, really rate this very highly. This is also how I feel when I'm reviewing like a very complicated book. Like, I feel like I'm shoveling my brain for information. Surely there's got to be an intelligent thought in here somewhere, you know? Now, Ian Lee nails it every time. The cover of The Book of Goose is one of my favourite covers ever, and this is, you know, another banger. She all smashes, no passes. This is Wednesday's Child with this lovely dog on it. I really like painted covers. I love when covers are pieces of art that have been adapted, and then, you know, here they've added this kind of modern twist. So that is actually gold foiling. I feel like I should clarify that because it does look a bit naff. It looks like a big potato or like a butternut squash. But on the real cover, that's actually gold foil, and it goes all the way around. It wraps around the spine as well. So it just looks really impressive. Then, of course, we have The Orange by Wendy Cope. Like I said, Faber never miss. So they basically have re-released some of Wendy Cope's poems in this new anthology, given the success of The Orange. Everyone is obsessed with the poem The Orange. In fact, where are my keys? Hold that thought, wait there. So these are my keys, and I have this little orange segment on my keys because of the poem The Orange. Me and my best friend Jordan both have one of these on our keys, and it's just a little orange segment, and the whole point is the poem ends with the line, "I love you, I'm glad I exist." And we say that to each other a lot. I love you, I'm glad I exist, or I'm glad you exist. And so now we have these to kind of remind us of each other all the time. And I think that is so sweet. She got me this for Christmas, and I think it's one of the most thoughtful presents I've ever received, and I immediately went online and bought 10 of them so I can give them out to other people, and then when we all link up, we'll have a whole orange. Don't you think that's lovely? The idea of the poem, I suppose, is, or the kind of metaphor of an orange in literature in general, is generally that breaking a peel for someone or peeling an orange for them is such an act of love. It's like one of those very casual ways of showing someone that you care. You know, often we tell each other that we love each other through our actions, and it can be as simple as just peeling an orange and sharing an orange with someone. So that's the idea behind it, and I absolutely adore this cover. I think it's so gorgeous, and I got Jordan a copy of this book as well. So we have we both have matching prints from this poem in our apartments, we have matching keys, we both have a copy of this book, like, we're obsessed. We're absolutely obsessed. Now, while we're talking about beautiful design, I wanted to let you know that today's video is very, very kindly brought to you by Squarespace, because Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for building your dream design of a website or an online brand. Except you don't need the expert design knowledge, they've got you covered. They have literally hundreds of incredible templates, which are so helpful as a kind of starting point. So you don't need any coding. You can just use one of their templates and customize it, make it your own. And there are also great features. For example, you can make an email sign-up list, you can make a blog so you can share some behind the scenes things, what you're up to, what's going on with your business. And then also they have great analytical tools so you can see what people are really enjoying of the content you are making. So if you fancy giving web design a little bit of a go to start this year, then you can, because Squarespace have a free trial so you can give it a go, see if you like it, have a play around, see how things go, and then also when you're ready to launch your beautiful new website or online brand, you can use my code JACKINTHEBOOKS at squarespace.com/JACKINTHEBOOKS to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So thank you so much to Squarespace for working with me on this video. This next book is called Francisco, and it's not my favorite, I'm not gonna lie, but would I still buy it? Probably yes. So that's just testament to how good all the others are. Eyeliner, A Cultural History. I really like what Penguin have been doing recently, where they've been adapting their logo to match the cover. So if you look really closely at that Penguin logo, it kind of matches the color scheme and the style of the you know, the illustration, where it looks kind of hand-drawn and then coloured in with markers. I think this is brilliant. I love it because it really makes it feel like a collaboration between the author and the designer and the publishing house. I don't know, I really love that. So I hope that's something we see more of. I would really like that. This one is called Wolfish. It's playing on the idea of creating a wolf with your hands, which now that I think about it, makes sense because the title is Wolf-ish. So it's kind of like something that looks like a wolf. You know, when you just see the shadow, you might be like freaked out, but actually there's some trickery going on. You're being deceived by the light and by the shadows, and actually there is something else behind it, and maybe that's even more sinister, who knows? So I kind of like that idea of wolf-ish, and then the cover design is a wolf that has been man-made and is not in fact an actual wolf, it just resembles one. So I think that's a very cool idea. Conceptually, I really love that one. This next one is called The Joy of Consent, and again, it just kind of has this like 3D, I love a gradient. Did I mention that I love a gradient? In a way, it's kind of hot. Like, why is this gradient kind of sexy? Do you know what I mean? The skin and its girl, the colours here are glorious. It kind of looks like a heat map in a way. Do you know what I mean? You know when you see a picture but it's kind of infrared? I think that's what this makes me think of, but it's cool tones predominantly. So, and then the outer parts are kind of burning hot. Julia, a novel. Now this is a retelling of 1984, and I love that this firstly pays homage to the original cover of 1984. It's the same colour scheme, but also I think it's so smart how 1984 is the lower level and then Julia is kind of wrapped over the top of it. It's like reclaiming that novel in some way. It makes it really clear that this is a retelling, which I think is so important, and I am so pumped to read this book. I have a copy of it actually to my left. And this is maybe my most anticipated book of 2024. I cannot wait to read this. Deep as the Sky, Red as the Sea. I need a copy of this immediately. I love the way the lips look like a little boat. The illustration of this, I think, is just stunning. No notes, just oar of this. Oar as in A-W-E, not oar as in O-A-R, like a boat oar. But that was a good accidental pun. Mister. I like that these words look like they've almost been cut out with scissors, you know? It's kind of messy, but still satisfying. I like it a lot. I have some questions for you. I went to a couple talks that Rebecca Mackay did this year, and she's such a brilliant speaker. So inspiring. And she talks about writing about place in very, very fascinating ways. I was just like in awe of her. Oh, there you go, the same word. I like that there's almost like a light source in this cover, you know, coming from above where the text is, sort of really makes it stand out. And yeah, whenever I see this book in a bookstore, I always am drawn to it immediately. Like, it has this real magnetism. That colour scheme, I think, is so vibrant and really stands out. So big fan of this. A history of burning with passion fruits. Like, I think burning and that deep red already signify passion. And then when you add passion fruits to it, it's like, oh, so this book is gonna knock my socks off. Okay, I see you. Like, that's the kind of cover that is enough to make me want to buy this book. So maybe I will. What Napoleon Could Not Do. I find that American covers especially often have like this real centered text. And I wonder what the kind of psychology of that is, but I think it works so well. And these colors again are just gorgeous. That shade of blue is everything I need and more. I assume this is like a piece of art that probably exists in a gallery somewhere. So I'm sorry that I don't know the name of it, but this must be hanging in a museum somewhere, surely, come on. Open Throat by Henry Hoke. The way that the colors of the text, I think, is so smart. It kind of reminds me a bit of, you know that thing in psychology? I think it's called Rorschach, the like paintings that you get in psychology where you have to identify different things in the painting and that tells you something about your psyche. Like, that's kind of what this reminds me of, and of course there's a tiger kind of hidden in that. Also a great book. I have read this one and I thought it was wonderful. After Sappho, one of my favourite books of the year. I actually don't have this edition. My camera is on top of it. Like, it is literally the one book that my camera is balancing on. So I can't show you. I thought it was right next to me, but it's actually immediately in front of me. Anyways, this cover I actually maybe even prefer. I think this might be my favourite cover of this book. It's a book about lots of different women who have come since the poet Sappho, who is known for her really lyrical, gorgeous poems. Her verse is just absolutely stunning and breathtaking. And she's also widely considered to be a lesbian, and so a lot of lesbian artists and writers have been very inspired by her and seen her as a kind of muse, and this collection really pays respect to her, I guess. And it is magical. It's so, so, so good. I think what I like is the sense of movement here. It really feels like some kind of dance, like some kind of chorus, and that's what the book is. So I think this is the perfect cover. Pure color, this block of green is still, I think, one of the most breathtaking covers I've seen. It feels like a thumbprint almost. And somehow this block just matches the essence of this novel immaculately. It's so, so good. I feel like I want to paint my house this colour and just live in that landscape forever, you know? Counterweight, this book is actually translated by my friend Anton, so he sent me an early copy of it, and the first thing I thought was, holy moly, this cover is everything. It's so great. There's something about that eye just dangling over that sunset that stares straight into your soul. It's very memorable, I think. Feels very kind of surrealist. And I like that. Hangman, this is actually one that I did buy purely for the cover. Like, I did buy this last week because of this cover. Guilty. Guilty as charged. Lock me up. Guilty of a good time. Sorry. I think what I liked is that each of these little things has its own expression going on. Like, the red one seems very mischievous. The one in the bottom left looks a little timid and shy. Not entirely sure what the orange one is doing, but I feel like he knows something that I don't. And then the other yellow one is kind of looking at them rather than at us as the reader. I don't know, there's something about this that really, well, it quite literally caught my eye, mostly because I was looking at their eyes. Okay, so this is another kind of Wunderkammer idea, you bleeding childhood. I think I prefer the tomb sweeping one, but this one is so cool with all the kind of childhood toys scattered all about. It feels messy, but each one kind of tells a story. Bathhouse and other tanker. Now I'm really intrigued by what this is specifically. Is that like a... I think it's someone's back and it's like the crease of their arm, but it could very much be a butthole. Like an arse crack, I mean. Or like, I'm gonna guess it would be here. But those little droplets of water, somehow this feels so invasive, like being that close to someone. I guess really intimate, which is really clever. Our Share of Night, I think I actually have a copy of this book just right up there, and it's massive. It's like this mammoth book, and these vibrant colours are just perfect for it. Like, this is stunning, especially how each of her fingernails is kind of a candle that's lit. It looks stunning, but then when you see it in person, it is so breathtaking. Mostly because of the sheer size of it, but this yellow, this really vibrant yellow, just pops off the page. Beijing, 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 Beijing sprawl. I like it. Zero Sum by Joyce Carol Oates. This is a really interesting approach to using paintings on a cover, because it kind of looks like you're rushing past it almost. This one again feels very three-dimensional when you see it in a bookshop. I love the painting feels very 2D, and then that white zero, I guess, really adds an extra layer to this. So it's a bit disorientating, like, what is the distance we are from each of these elements, you know? Learn by heart, love the gold. I wonder if this is a foil when you hold it in your hands in real life. That would be a cool idea, but I really like it. It feels very textured. It feels like something you want to reach out and touch with your hand. The Guest by Emma Cline. There is a British version of this cover that's a swimming pool, and I think that probably makes more sense in terms of the story, because swimming pools and water are such a huge motif in this novel. But this is the edition that I bought because I prefer it. Again, it has that kind of infrared or like contrasted filter on it. The colours, again, are so striking, and I really feel like you don't see this shade of green very regularly. But I do like that this feels like someone reaching out a hand for some help, because that is what the novel is really about. And it kind of feels like someone reaching a hand out to like pull you up from a pool or something like that, or pull you away from a ledge, which does align with what the book is about. So I wonder if that was kind of the vision behind this. A Manual for Living, with all these kind of little motifs and icons of everyday life. I like it. Oh, and that's the end. Okay, well that was quite abrupt. Those are all of the book covers that I picked out from the LitHub Best Book Designs of 2023. Let me know what you thought, which are your favourites. Are there any of those that you now want to head to the bookstore and pick up a copy of? I definitely do. This video could be quite expensive for all of us involved, because I need all of those now. immediately. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you very, very soon with another one. Thank you for watching. All the best. Stay in touch. Have a wonderful day. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.